All right. In the meantime, we're keeping track of this back and forth on this tax measure. Its announcement delayed until tomorrow. The GOP tax bill rollout will begin in earnest then, but already some of the whisperings are that there will be a fourth individual bracket at 39.6%, what the highest level is now, to Virginia Republican Congressman, House Freedom Caucus member Dave Brat, on what he makes of that. Congressman, what do you think of that?
Neil. Republicans in general would like rate reductions down across the board, but right now they're haggling in terms of how do you pass the bill through, right? We lost a lot of the New Yorkers and maybe some California over the SALT piece, the state and local tax piece, and so they're cobbling the votes together, and so I'm sure that they're just haggling on that piece. In general, we want to give a tax rate cut to everybody, and that is pro-growth. And so I hate to see that go, but I don't know what the room looks like on the votes.
Now, apparently what they're saying, I talked to one person on this, the person could be wrong, but seems to be not as well connected as you, but a smarty pants in his own right, saying that if you lifted the top rate to those making $1 million or more, that would compensate for even those who would lose that local and state tax deduction. That gap between roughly a little under $500,000 to $1 million would compensate for that, whatever the fact is, with the rate $1 million and over remaining at 39.6%. I don't know if that explains it, but what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's something to that argument. Then we've also heard, I mean, these are rumors, but they're floating around, that they're going to split up the state and local, and you may keep the local deduction, and that's substantial, right? I mean, in our area, that's about 1% on your home.
In other words, the property tax that you're paying on your home, for example, versus all the other taxes. Right,
that's right. And so that'll help. And so we were thinking it was about a $1.5 trillion pay for, right, that the loss of that deduction would result in. So that adding the local back in might cost you about $500 billion. And so that's important because then you can't lower the tax rates as much for the middle class tax cut. So there's a bunch of bumper cars, and we're trying to sort that out.
Congressman, you sound a little disappointed.
The good news is the framework is still intact, right? We're still talking about a 20% corporate rate. That may be phased in, too. That's part of the new information.
Yes, by the way, we're hearing the same thing, sir, that it would be phased. But go ahead. I apologize.
And so, no, and that's right. And then on the S-Corp side, we're still at 25%. That's good news. And there's probably a 30-70 split, right? You can your business expenses get the lower rate, and then compensation, they don't want people gaming it, so that's the 70%. That won't get that rate, right? That might have to stay at the individual rate. But the basic framework is intact, and then the repatriation isn't as large as I thought it was going to be. I had $1 trillion in mind that in real savings, that we're hearing about $250 billion comes back. And that pays for moving toward the territorial system, which is a win, right? Makes us competitive and levels the playing field against the rest of the world.
It sounds to me like what you're saying, Congressman, while it's not exactly your cup of tea, it's better than nothing.
Oh, no, it's way better than nothing. I'm still fairly optimistic, right? I mean,
so as it stands now, and I know there are a lot of how can you go yay or nay on something you haven't formally seen, but as things stand now, you would not be a no vote.
No, that's right. No, I'm a yes.
Because they're worried about the Freedom Caucus, that you guys all balk in unison here.
No. On this one, they shouldn't be worried about the Freedom Caucus at all. This one, it's SALT, it's the Eastern Seaboard, the high tax states, et cetera. Most of the Freedom Caucus I know is yes. We want to see lower tax rates. We've been bullish since the beginning on this. I taught economics for 20 years. This is what we've been waiting for. And the kids I taught for 20 years, we're not doing too well on the spending side of the equation up here, right? That's the swamp. It's very hard to cut any spending. And so with a straight face, really the only thing I can offer the kids is, hey, we're going to pop this economy, get it moving. You go get yourself skilled up. That's on you, right? But I'm going to offer you a little pop here in a 10-year window. We get some economic growth, and you can set up you and your new family on a pro-growth, pro-business trajectory. And so that's my optimistic hope of what we're doing.
All right, real quickly, sorry to be remiss if I didn't mention former Speaker John Boehner. Of course, he had this very kind of salty interview with Politico in which he lambasted a lot of the conservative renegades. He spared you personally, but he just sort of thinks that some of the rabid on the right are nuts. What do you think of that?
Well, I like Boehner. He's funny. He's always salty. He's funny. He's always got funny jokes. And so I think he's a little frustrated. But on the right, this terminology is so far off. The Freedom Caucus is the group that votes for the Republican creed and votes for the Republican platform. We're not right. We keep our promises. When you say repeal, look up repeal in Webster's, and we're going to repeal Obamacare. When you're going to lower taxes, we're going to lower taxes. When you're going to deregulate the economy and get us going, that's what we do. You want a strong national defense? Yes. You want Judeo-Christian tradition, values, some ethics back in your K-12 education? That's us. So he's talking inside the Beltway bubble stuff, right? About getting and that I think we've had some elections on that, and it wasn't just Trump, right? That was Bernie through Trump. The middle class hasn't had a wage rate increase in 30 years. They're ticked off at the swamp. The immigration, I just heard the prior story. No one's listening to the American people on that. That's a huge issue. The House and the Senate still haven't moved anything consequential through on immigration reform, shutting down the border, making the United States safe. Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? And so that was a biggie, but we need way more action up here. The people are not happy. They want to see some moves.